I am super excited to introduce Kathryn Ford. So really kind of wanted to put it back. Kathryn works with a lot of women after they've gone through a traumatic experience in their life or divorce, and really kind of helping them really get back on their feet in a lot of different ways. And so I just thought it would be a great speaker. So let's talk about Kathryn is the founder and CEO of Excellence Institute, a fabulous elite women's club for sophisticated, extraordinary women who love the finer things in life, and they know what they are meant for even more. Each woman is creating and living her best life, filled with an ambiance of health, wealth, and love. Kathryn is an award-winning women's empowerment expert, a personal coach and professional mentor and coach, international speaker, and Amazon #1 best-selling author. She is also a 2016 Woman of the Year nominee for the Los Angeles Business Journal. Help me welcome Kathryn. Kathryn, so great to have you.
Oh, thank you, Walter. Thank you so much for having me.
And you're amazing. I mean, I missed her last minute. So for those that you don't know, this all looks seamless. But I met Kathryn through a referral. We met, we talked, and I'm like, God, I gotta fit you in. So I sliced and diced, and here you are. So, we just heard from Stacey Phillips, an amazing family law expert. So, you get to really come on and talk about kind of what happens after and where women really need to think about if they're in that scenario that Stacey talks about, that they're really struggling, they're in fear, oh my God, what's going to happen? Not that we're advocating divorce by any means, but we're advocating health and wellness. And so why don't you kind of speak to that?
Well, I'd love to. It's the area of my expertise, and it's so very important. Our health and well-being is absolutely the #1 factor in our life. We can't enjoy life. We can't enjoy anything if we aren't feeling great and doing well that way. So that's one of the big things that we look at Excellence Institute. We really see that there are 6 major categories in our life. Our health is the first one, our well-being. Most of the women that I work with are interested in maintaining their youthfulness, and we have this mind-body connection. So it's very natural when we're feeling great about our life, when we're confident, when we have wonderful things happening, that what I call our inner pharmacy is going to be kicking out beautiful sparkling chemicals versus when we're stressed in fear, having maybe a lot of anxiety. It's just the opposite, and we're living with too much cortisol and too many over time chemicals in our body that just are not meant to be there for long periods of time. And it causes our body to age more quickly. Every organ, and of course our largest organ, our skin. So it's kind of fun after women begin to work with me just for a little bit. People will start to ask them, wow, you're looking so great. And it's just because it's this natural process that we have. So we do take a look at that. And then another big piece is just being able to cultivate rich relationships. So very important. If you're going through, something that you're considering uncoupling, or maybe you're past that process, to be able to really bring in beautiful relationships again, and maybe you're even wanting to begin dating again. Who knows? But we take a look at all of that as well. And time is the one thing that we all have on planet Earth that is limited, right? We live in an infinitely abundant universe. So there's enough of everything and more than enough for everyone, including financial freedom. But we all have an expiration date. So how are we spending our time? So I do a lot of work with women on helping them when we're creating that next most amazing chapter in their life. We work a lot on how would you love to spend your time? Have you found your passion in life? And maybe you have, but you want to ask yourself, what's next for me in that area as well? How am I spending my time? Is it, doing things that I love with people that I love? Or is that an area where I have an opportunity? So that's real important. And then, of course, the money factor, the wealth freedom is very important as well. So we teach women how to just open up and expand into learning how to create more for themselves in an easy way. I'm all about easy breezy, so that, of course, we have that time and money freedom, balance. So it's extraordinary. And it's a lot of fun because you're with a group of women who are also creating the next most amazing chapter in their life. So it's all positive.
You have a systematic process. I love systems.
Yes.
I just, so talk about that. You work with people that are struggling and how your system helps them get back on track, and why the system.
I'd love to. All of this was really birthed out of my own journey, my own health challenges, pretty significant and severe, as well as a highly toxic marriage that I was in. And so after all of that was behind me, I had so many people say, wow, how did you go from where you were then to where you are now? And they really encouraged me to help others. And so that's how Excellence Institute was born in 2012. And I decided to make a system so that it would be easily duplicatable. And we start with, each woman starts with what I call your personal passion prescription. So this is where we take a look at those key areas of your life, those 6 key areas that I spoke about, and we take a deep dive. And I ask you to go within, and I guide you in this process to really examine, what would I love? That's the number one question I really encourage women to begin to ask themselves. Not what do I think I deserve, or what do I think based on my past or my education or whatever. No, what would you love? And in each of those categories, we sort of set out a roadmap. And I help you get there and give you the fastest way to bring that into your life. And that's where the system comes in. And we take a deep dive into the different areas so that you have lots of tools and practices and principles, so that as your life is happening, we're all creating anyway every day from our thoughts and our feelings. You are creating what you would love. And we're building new neuronal pathways in your brain so that you're getting different results. You're releasing some old limiting beliefs that you've picked up along the way so that you can open up to really what you would love. And anything and everything is possible. And it's extraordinary when a woman is able to bring in to her life things that she never thought was possible. Truly, the system changes the entire trajectory of her life. And that's so exciting for me to be able to witness this every day working with women.
Changing trajectory. That's what we all want.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's like, I can't believe how many parallels there are, because I talk a lot about if you want to keep going where you're going, just keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
It's this almost probable certain future, and that's, I think, a lot of people want to change, but they keep doing what they're doing. So you speak to that. You got to change that trajectory. So, are there common things that you see that women need to be aware of that kind of come to you? What can you speak to there?
Yes, that is a great question. The number one life mastery skill is to notice what you're noticing. Sounds simple enough, right? But it does take us literally stepping back from our life, or going 10,000 feet up and looking down on our life and saying, okay, what is transpiring here? I am reacting to whatever circumstance is happening in my life in a certain way, probably the way I've reacted to certain things my whole entire life. I'm getting a certain result. Maybe I don't like that result. Okay, if I notice it, I can do a pattern interrupt. I can sort of press an imaginary pause button in my mind and say, take a breath. And now let's respond differently. And like I said, I give women all kinds of tools to do this, depending on their individual circumstances and needs. But we find those areas where, when we can do a pattern interrupt, it changes everything. It will absolutely change the results that they're getting in their life. And that's really exciting to see. And it's immediate, which is also great. We get that, once we sort of like starve that side of our brain that we're just on autopilot and we're not getting the results we want, we start building new pathways and new sort of roads, so to speak, we immediately begin to see different results. And that's very, very encouraging. And it's rewarding to see that immediately. So notice what you're noticing. That's the number one life mastery skill.
Now, we've both been around people that the problem and the answer seems to be out there. And, you know, they're wrong. If only they do this. But we both know that the change happens really from within. And like what you just described, that pattern, or I got to do something different. I don't, you know, Tiffany doesn't need to change. I need to change. So speak to that. What tools do you use, or what? Because we'll have people, you know, in this program that kind of sitting there going, well, if my boyfriend did this, or my husband did that, or if we made more money or less money, or, you know, it's all out there, and we know what that does. How do you shift that? Because that's a hard conversation to have. Like, hey, maybe the problem isn't what you think it is. The problem might be that person looking in the mirror.
Right. Yes. Well, it's always an inside job. And I start off really by having that conversation with the women that I work with, because we have to be able to take an honest look. And we're not, it's all coming from a place of love. It's all good. And the motivation is that your life is going to change dramatically. So we really have to open up first to taking a good, honest, hard look. And I have a process that I take women through in order to do that. But it's not, I find the feedback I get is it's very easy for them to do, because we're coming from a place of love. We're not, you know, sort of saying, oh my gosh, how could you be doing this your whole life? You know, this was a huge mistake or whatever. I really believe that we're all doing the best we can with what we know at any given time. And now we know better, right? When we have new tools and better practices and principles, we know better. But the first place is to open up and look inside. It's always an inside job. No matter what's happening in my life, I have the ability, I have the power to choose, right? I can go down that same pathway that I've taken my whole life that hasn't maybe worked out so well for me, or I can choose differently. And at first, we have to self-correct, because we're learning how to choose differently. And then pretty soon after we've done it a few times in a given situation, we're just auto-correcting, and we're living from this new place of being in the world and getting new results. So when a woman knows that, or anyone for that matter, it really makes a difference. It's not hard once you just do it a few times. So that would be
brilliant. I will throw this one little thing, and then we'll wrap up at one of the greatest gifts that my partner in crime gave me is she came back from a program, and she came back and she shared with me about what she discovered for herself. Didn't say a word about my deficiencies or about what I needed to do, which that was a long list. But what happened was the fact that she took responsibility for her side, it opened a door. It opened a door for me to look at me in a different way. And I think that personal empowerment of what you talk about is just, it's incredibly powerful when people are throwing nuclear weapons at each other.
right.
There's nobody's listening. I sometimes have a fault where I'm talking at somebody and they're talking at me and nobody's listening. And so anyway, Kathryn, I just want to thank you for really jumping in and being flexible with us today and sharing your wisdom and, you know, your insight. You are an author, correct?
Yes. Be Well, a 7-step system for radical healing. So very proud of that.
Okay, we will have that in our recap, in our email out to everybody. So
Thank you.
You will have that. So thank you so much. We will take a short 3-minute break and introduce our next speaker.
Thank you so much.